The Boys season 4, episode 8. What are we thinking?
I am happy. There was this was one of the better episodes of the season. I thought they covered a lot of ground in the amount of time they had. Um, like I didn't. There's one part in specific I'm thinking like I could have done without. But hopefully it leads to better things. So whatever. Um, but on the all, like I felt like they gave us the finale we needed for me to say that this season was better than season 3. Uh,
Okay. Yeah.
I thought the pacing was better for this season than it was for season 3. And episode 8 answered a lot of questions and gave us a lot of new questions, which I guess is what we are looking for going into the final season and season 2 of Gen V. I'm happy. Uh I'm happy with season 4 episode 8. I'm happy with the finale. I'm not mad at it. How are you feeling?
I am whelmed. So basically, look, highlights for me was Starlight versus Starlight. I thought that was a great showcase for Erin Moriarty's acting chops. She did a great job, very believable, playing both the victim and the villain
I didn't like it.
in those moments. And I mean, she basically kicked her own ass. She killed another version of herself, which was uh pretty remarkable to see. Props to her. Low
I
lights
didn't
for
like it. To be honest with you, I did not like that.
why?
I'm supposed to believe that Kimiko, who has not been held captive for 10 days and is a badass legit at all times, she already grew a leg back. We've seen her go through swarms of people. She was defeated quite easily, quite easily by the shifter. And then Annie shows up, hands all jacked up. Like she said, you're all beat up. You're supposed to beat me? Like, and to beat the shifter in the manner she did, I'm just like, yo, like that doesn't make sense to me. Like you shouldn't be able to beat her up. She's been destroying everybody. She just killed Kimiko. And then you punch her in the face a couple times, then you slam her head in the ground and choke her out. That's how this ends. I didn't believe it. I was like, this is bullshit. Like yeah, I didn't like that part. I didn't like that she just came in and so easily beat the shifter's ass.
I agree. Yeah, like I think it was supposed to be symbolic, like she's killing that part of herself that, is doubting herself. So I think it was symbolic, more than
I
it
thought it
was
was.
like appropriate for the storyline. Like, um,
I also thought it was cheesy how like when she's choking her out, she's like, "You can, you, you can't do this." And the little speech she gave her is like, if you're really choking somebody out, killing somebody, you're not going to be speaking. So you can't take my man, you can't take my life, you can't take whatever the hell she said. Like I can't remember the lines right now, but like it was delivered like so. Like no, I'm killing you. I'm not going to be speaking. That's psychopath stuff.
yeah. I
Whispering in somebody's ear while you're killing. No, like if you really just broke out, like I couldn't suspend disbelief on that. I was like, why are you speaking? Why are you talking like that? You're killing this person. You would be speaking in a completely different voice than your normal speaking voice when you're choking somebody out. So they like, and you just escaped being messed up and your hands are all fucked up. Like, uh, that scene, I was like, it kind of took me out a little bit. I was like, no, Kimiko's a badass, and she's over there with her head turned backwards while you come in here and punch her in the face with your broken hands.
Right. Um, Again, I think it was like Annie was saying the quiet part out loud, like where it's like, all right, this is her character development. First, she was like real self righteous, And then she, has a blow to her ego and she's questioning everything. And now she's killing that part of herself that was questioning herself. But she was saying the quiet part out loud. She could have just kept it quiet. We would have figured it out. Yeah, I think that killer needed a few more blows to die. Like I definitely, now that you bring it up, I also feel like that the killer died way too early, the assassin.
Like Annie was never in peril in that fight. Like it never felt like she was like losing. And if you just went through all this stuff to get here to fight now, like you're not going to be coming in the ring at 100%. Like she
Right.
should have been, having to fight back. She should have been on the ground. There should have been more peril. You should have felt like Annie was going to lose this fight, just like because we just saw Kimiko get her head turned around. So you should feel like at some point Annie might lose. Like she might die right now. Is this where she's going to die? It's the season finale. You got to build up that tension, but it was very quick and clean and decisive. She talked shit in a normal voice at the end. It's like, ah, man, like, yeah,
Yeah.
that part didn't hit for me. That part didn't hit for me.
Yeah. I think it must have just come down to runtime. Like they didn't have time to drag that fight out for as long as it should have gone. I think they packed too much into this episode. They should have spread it out a little bit because there were some fillers this season that were, in my opinion, a chore to watch. So some of this stuff could have been taken care of in earlier episodes.
We could have got to the Kimiko Frenchie thing 3 episodes ago. In fact, I'm glad you said that because that's the thing that I did not like in this episode. And yes, thank you. Yeah, that should have happened a long time ago. This whole Colin story that went half the season and Frenchie being in jail for 2 episodes, we didn't need any of that. We could have had 1 episode
No.
of Colin, maybe 2 episodes of Colin, and then give us the Kimiko thing, episode 3, and this shit isn't needed in the finale. This shit could have been done already.
Yeah, we didn't need any of it. We maybe a few flashbacks of like Kimiko's story with Shining Light Liberation, and then she goes and fights with them. That would have been fun. Nothing from Frenchie. We said that
None of
at the
that was
start of the
needed.
season, and we're staying consistent on that. Fuck Frenchie. # fuck Frenchie.
I mean, at least now he'll be interesting because now he's just focused on her, and we all agree she's a badass, and we want to see more of her. Like,
Yeah.
yes, please more Kimiko, but like we didn't need.
Yeah.
Why did we go through that whole Frenchie expedition just to end up where we were already at? Like they
Right.
should have just like that was unnecessary. That was unnecessary. We could have done this. That would have freed up more time in the finale for the shifter to put his thumb in Starlight's eye or something. Something.
Yeah, exactly.
Something.
Yeah, we are
This should
in
have been wrapped
agreement
up.
on that. Frenchie, we knew from the start of the season that Frenchie was a waste of time, and we're sticking with that. So we're staying
Frenchie's been on
consistent.
light skin shit for the last 2 seasons.
Some bullshit. Frenchie's on his bullshit.
Always. Frenchie stays. Oh, man.
All
We all
right,
got a
wait,
friend like
okay.
Frenchie, but
Just a couple more minutes of complaining about Frenchie and then we'll move on. But like, okay, Frenchie already had a crisis of conscience in season 1 when he let Lamplighter flame Mallory's kids. So like we already saw this from him. We didn't need it in season 4. What the
we saw it in season 1. We saw it in season 2. We saw it in season 3. Now we see it in season 4. Like, we get it. He's a sad boy.
He is
Cool.
a sad fuck.
Like we got it. Frenchie's a sad boy. But that doesn't mean you got to drag us into his sad. Look, there's some things that are okay to happen off screen. Like we don't, there's a lot of times where it's like, man, I wish they would have showed us that part so that we could, instead of just telling us. No, you can tell us what Frenchie did. You don't have
Yeah.
to. We don't have to do 20 minutes of Frenchie exposition
Mm-hmm.
every fucking episode.
I feel
So,
like we're the only podcast with this take. Like we hate Frenchie.
but here's the thing. Like we hate him because we want to like him. There's a way to do Frenchie right, and it's
Right.
less Frenchie. He's not cowbell. We don't need more Frenchie.
I
We need
know.
the right amount of Frenchie. Like in this episode, with the exception of the whole, finally making it right with Kimiko part, like we got the right Frenchie. I like Frenchie when Frenchie's creating stuff, when he's making things like,
Yeah.
yes, look at me, motherfucker, I made the
Yeah.
thing, and look at this, like I like that French. I like that energy on French. That's a
Yeah.
good look for him. But
Mhm.
then the whole, I want to put my penis in everything and then be sad about that I did it. I don't need that. I don't need that
Yeah.
part. I don't need that Frenchie. I need Frenchie that makes shit.
Yeah, I mean it's just the wrong amount. Like if you were going to get into it, get into it, show the gangs and somehow tie Compound V into it. I mean, that's what they did with Kimiko. Exactly what they did with Kimiko. So if you wanted to go in that direction, go in that direction, but just to kind of hint at it and then not get us invested, but then spend this much time on it is just ridiculous. I'm done with French. He needs to be a side character. That's where he needs to stay. But we know that they're gonna do some shit, unnecessary shit with Frenchie next season. Let's just plan on that.
You know what though? We're gonna get a different Frenchie next season. I don't know if you want to go into that now, but like we're the I yeah, he's gonna, like, the last 4 episodes, he's gonna be an emotional wreck. But starting at the beginning of next season, we're not gonna have our normal Frenchie. So I'm
Um,
interested to see, like, I, watch it be the exact dude we've always wanted Frenchie to be, and then they save him and he goes back to being Pepe Le Pew.
oh yeah, because he could be a villain starting next season.
Right, because Kate,
Yeah,
touched him, whispered in his ear, and she's got a way of making people forget people they love.
yeah.
Eventually those memories come back and then she has to do it again. But I mean, yeah, he walked away with her and got
Hmm.
in the van on his own accord.
Hmm.
Uh, so who knows? They might use his expertise and his, knowledge and ability
Ooh,
for their side.
I would. Yeah, dude, I would love that.
Kind of like in the first Avengers when Loki was turning everybody into, working for him, when he would touch them with the spear, and then they would just, that scientist and Hawkeye, they just went and did Loki's bidding until they got knocked out of it.
Hmm.
Like, we get
Yeah, I
Frenchie
didn't
like
think
that.
about that. Like, I thought she was just like convincing him to go to jail. I didn't realize that. Yeah, but now that you mention it, yeah, she did brainwash him for a reason. Oh, fascinating. Well, they better freaking follow through with that next season. Come on.
If he's just a prisoner, I'm gonna be upset. But if they did what I'm hypothesizing, if she just, hey, you work for me now, and then he turned around and walked away, and then they actually used Frenchie's expertise to further Homelander's plan, uh, that would be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, but who knows? Because we were so sure that they were going to do something with Huey's mom this season. We were convinced that she was a spy for Vought, and that went absolutely nowhere. And it's like, why even bother bringing her back if it was going to be like this? So we shall see what they do with Frenchie next season. I have a feeling it's not going to be as good as we expect it to be.
Yeah, it's gonna be sad. It's gonna be some sad boy shit. It's gonna be,
Yeah, it's gonna be like flashbacks of his past or some bullshit that no one
and
cares
yeah,
about.
him trying to break free. Because remember when they went in Gen V, when they went into Kate's mind when she was losing it or whatever, and they
Mm-hmm.
had to they had to find their way out or they were gonna die in there.
Mm-hmm.
Where I can
Yeah.
see, like, uh
Oh my god, if they go in that direction, I'm just gonna fast forward through every one of his scenes next
it's
season.
Frenchie working through his own subconscious to try to burst out so that he can save himself. And
I
so
didn't
he just
realize I didn't realize how much I hated Frenchie until we started this podcast.
like, if I gotta watch fucking young Frenchie doing more dumb stuff.
All right, well, let's move on. All right, I'm gonna be a little bit of a critic here. Um, I think my least favorite scenes were Mallory. I think they did Mallory dirty. Um, and I Victoria can't go out like this. So I mean, the loss of those two characters, like I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't ready for either of them to die. And then if they're gonna die, like give them a better send off than.
I told you Newman was gone. I told you she was gone. You ain't want to listen to me. I told you they was getting rid of Newman.
Okay, but get rid of her in a better way. At least give her the option to fight back and then kill her. But just to like kill her and like you don't even see her fighting. She's been fighting this whole season. Like, you don't even see her fighting. Like she just dies and they show her dead body. Like it almost feels like, you know how A Train. Okay, so A Train like almost dies last season. He has a heart attack when he kills that racist. And it was just like so unceremonious. And then they brought him back the next episode. So I'm wondering if Newman is not actually dead because she's just too big a. I don't know. In my opinion, she's too big a character to go out that way, but maybe I'm just being too hopeful.
Well, I mean, she does have the ability to heal, right? And she was shot point blank with the gun and didn't die. It is not out of the realm of possibility that with her specific powers, or with Marie's powers, she can be put back together.
Possibly.
I mean,
Possibly. I mean, that
d-
and her like baby daddy is like some sort of scientist of some kind, so
no, homie, I think that's it. Because remember,
yeah.
when Newman and Marie talked at the end of Gen V in the
Mhm.
parking garage, I think it was, wherever they were talking,
Mhm.
and Newman told her, "You're very special. We
Mhm.
have the same power." Like Newman talked her up a little bit,
Mhm.
to try to tell her and telling her about, her powers.
Mhm.
I think that might, hey, that too early hypothesis. I'm just throwing it out there. Uh, Marie finds her and saves her.
It's very yeah. I just feel like
Marie puts her back together and heals her.
it's got to be something like that. I mean, I don't who knows because we're so sure about some things and they don't play out. So, I mean, it's possible that she's just dead, but it just seemed too it just seemed too quick and too easy. Um so yeah, I think you're right. I mean, at least they're leaving the opening for that.
You don't think that she would have known? Because remember, Sam Edgar's still out there somewhere.
Mhm.
Samir Shah is still out there somewhere.
Mhm.
She didn't give them up. She gave up her daughter and her. I I think I think that maybe there's something else at play. I mean, it could be that she's just fucking dead. She could
It
just be
could
dead.
be. Yeah,
But
it could
if
be.
we're gonna try to hypothesize a world where she cannot be dead,
Mhm.
the fact that those two people were nowhere to be seen,
Mhm.
you think they're gonna let her just go? You think Sam Edgar's gonna let her just turn herself in? You don't think she talked to him? She did save him. You don't think she would have talked to Samir?
Right. Yeah, and like I did think it was interesting that she um like recounted her conversation with Samir, but then we don't actually see him. So, yeah, exactly. Where is he?
Yeah. Like so, in order for those two pieces to come back on the board, we would need her to be back in play,
Mhm.
I think.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But I don't know. I'm just saying. That's what when I'm looking at it, I'm like, there's something that don't add up. Where's her people at?
Exactly.
Because
Exactly.
clearly she knows that he's alive and that Huey and them took him.
Mhm. Right, and
And why
where's
and
Sam?
why call Huey? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like there's something strategic about her calling Huey because I mean she could have gotten MM on the phone. She could have,
Yeah, she
she could have hit up Starlight. She didn't.
or
She hit up Huey.
or she could have like just called her man and like ran away with him or something, you know? Like
Yeah,
she had
but
options.
but if she was gonna deal with the boys, she didn't have to deal with Huey. She could have dealt with somebody else. But I think she knew Huey would be the one that would listen because she could get to him
Mhm.
because of their history.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think yeah, I'm just putting pieces together. I think that's why she didn't fight back. because she could have stopped him. She could have blew his head up right then. Them tentacles came out, but fucking Newman is the head popper. She could have popped his head right then.
I
And
mean,
those
the
tentacles.
tentacles have to be made of blood, right? I mean, what
Yeah,
else?
yeah, they come
So,
from the cancer. So yeah, she could have popped them if she wanted to, the same way Marie popped old boy's pee-pee.
right.
She didn't. I think she died for a reason, and I think that Sage is behind it.
It's possible. I mean, one can only hope.
Huh.
Yeah. Uh,
Interesting. But you didn't like
well,
that she died without a fight. But I'm saying maybe there's a reason that there was no
yeah, if
fight.
there's a reason behind it, then fine. But I will if she is actually dead and she's not coming back next season, um uh, I'm gonna miss her.
She really started to grow on me, especially like from Gen V to through season 3. She really started to grow on me.
She was just such a like this is I think what politicians are actually like. Like they just keep it moving. They don't take shit personal. They do vile things. They have vile things done to them and they just keep it moving. And I don't know, I just love that about her.
Man, to think that we were so close to having Hulk Hogan show up for Newman's rally.
What? Wait, I'm laughing, but I'm like, what are you talking
Because Hulk Hogan was at the RNC.
about? Was he really? Oh Lord.
Oh yeah, and he ripped off his shirt and then had his Trump shirt underneath.
Um.
And
Okay.
we could have had that with Newman. We could have, if she'd have stayed alive and become president, we could have had Hulk Hogan at the inauguration ripping off his shirt for all the Newman maniacs.
Yeah. It's a
Okay, I'm
missed
by myself on that.
opportunity.
That's fine. Whatever. I'm by myself. It's just me,
It,
Hogan, and
it
Newman.
it's a missed opportunity. She totally would have like shook his hand and big upped him and done whatever, and then like cussed him out behind his back.
And then popped his head when they got off stage.
Yeah, and
Oh,
like
it'd have been worth it
sanitized
for
her
that.
hand.
Yes, pop his
Yeah.
head.
um. Yeah, I'm actually picturing it now. Like she shakes his hand, and she gets fake tan on her hand from him, and
Gross.
she just has this like disgusted look on her face, and she's like, "Give me a wipe." Gets a wipe from her assistant.
So gross. And he calls her brother.
Yeah. Hello, brother.
Hey, brother, it's good to meet you out here, brother. You're gonna do a good job in the Oval Office, brother. Yeah.
And she'd be like, charmed, charmed, I'm sure.
Charmed. Charmed. Give me a white, please. Thank you, Charles.
Disgusted. Um, yeah,
So
man.
what did you like from this episode? So you give
Wait,
me a couple of things
I
that
have
you
one more
didn't.
gripe.
Okay.
My girl Mallory, my Mallory is for sure dead. She deserved more as well. She deserved more airtime. Some of Frenchie's airtime should have gone to Mallory. This is not a criticism that I came up with, but when I heard it, I agreed with it. But another podcaster was saying, look, like she says at the very end that like, oh, I lost my grandchildren and you reminded me of my grandchildren. But we didn't actually see that relationship develop at all
Right.
between
I
her
felt
and
that too.
Ryan.
I felt that
And
too.
Mallory deserved better than that. Also, like she was a smart, calculating woman who kept herself alive all these years, and then at the end she fumbles the bag like that. Like it just bum rushing Ryan with like all of the shit that they'd been trying to hide from him all of these years. Um, you were the product of the R word, and your father is a horrible person, and we're locking you away until you agree to kill him. Like she she wouldn't have done that, man. That wasn't her. So yeah, I think we lost her to bad writing, and I'm really disappointed. Also,
I I good riddance to Mallory.
why?
She served her purpose. And like you said, she dropped the bag. And in this instance, I watching it, I remember thinking to myself, it's crazy that Butcher is the rational one right now, and because she was very irrational, and Butcher was, calm down, hold on, let's let him, like Butcher was trying to de-escalate the situation. He was in the role that, you know, she was in the Butcher role, and Butcher was in the role of, like, I guess Mallory or other team members trying to de-escalate the situation. And maybe she hasn't had a lot of practice. I don't know. Maybe her decision making has been compromised because she's a 78-year-old woman. That happens.
That's ageist. And I think that's unfair because we haven't seen that from her up until this point. Like,
And
she's
you
endured
know
a
why?
lot.
Because her character doesn't have a lot to offer. She was always supposed to die for this moment. And you know what? I thought that the lines were forced. I thought that, all the stuff she threw at him, especially the whole you can't leave, and her so clearly reaching for the button,
Hmm.
like she was desperate. She's a desperate woman. And that's not the person that she always portrayed herself to be. But I think that in this instance, she is overreacting to what is happening currently when they just find out that Newman's dead and that the attempt on Singer failed. Homelander's gonna be like, she's overreact. She's in a very panicked state. She's doing the exact thing that rednecks think that women would do if they became president. Oh, there's a
Yeah.
crisis. Look at her. She's losing her mind. She can't control her shit. She's overreacted. She did that. And when you do that and you push somebody, like, you should know better. That's dumb. You should know better than to push Ryan like that. Tell him, no, no, woman, like, what'd you think? You thought you were really going to be able to keep him in? Like, don't. It was a dumb play. It was a bad play. It was a
It
bad
was
play.
it was a dumb play from a character that's not supposed to be that dumb. That's the thing that bothers me. Like, I would have preferred if if she became the villain. If she was like, "Look, Ryan, this is what it is. We're locking you in here. You better do this." Like, if she just like became like a cold bitch and just like legitimately tried to trap him in there, and she hated Butcher for all these years, and then finally she said, "You know what, Butcher, you were right. You were an asshole. I'm going to be an asshole." And then she got killed like that. That would have been so much more satisfying for me because in my opinion she was a decent character. She was a side character. She didn't get as much airtime as I wish she had because of bullshit like Frenchie, but she, like, the first season, she has to like come to grips. She has to like meet the man that like destroyed her family, that like killed her grandkids. So like to say like, oh, she served her purpose, she's done. Like, no, she was a real character in the show. And she deserved some sort of character arc and not just she went crazy because she got scared and she became a crazy woman. Like,
She
that to me
tried to
was.
play she tried to play bad cop. She tried to do good cop, bad cop. She went bad cop, and maybe there was a reason that she always played good cop.
But she didn't play bad cop. She just became crazy cop. She just became, like you said, she became a hysterical woman. And that's unfair. That's unfair to that character.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. She's definitely presented herself as more put together than that throughout the series.
Yeah. And like I said, some sort of character arc. Something. Just
I didn't need a character arc from her. I don't need more of her.
I
Uh,
did. I did. I really liked her character. And I was always hoping because they gave a there was one detail in the first season. She said um they what's his name, Lamplighter flamed her like entire family, or sorry, Lamplighter killed all of her grandkids and the only thing that they had left was their teeth. And I was like, why would she leave that detail in there? Is there going to be like a storyline where the grandkids come back, or like, it just, I had such high hopes for like her character. And over the years she just kind of got tossed to the side and fine. But I don't know, to see her go out like this was really disappointing for me.
they gave her shot with the Soldier Boy story. And I think after the Soldier Boy story, there's not a lot left for her to do. If Ryan would have stayed with her, then okay, cool. I mean, because she could have played the whole thing way differently. She could have just been like, "Come back with me. Let's go back." Like, you know what I'm saying? Like she already had him laid out, and then she flipped the script on him, and that's
Yeah,
when he
dude,
was
I'm
like,
not
"Yeah,
saying I look, she was a perfect patsy for this episode. Yeah, kill her. I'm saying give her a good death. Give her the death that her character deserved.
I'm saying I don't think her character deserved a great death. I didn't think she was just there to facilitate information. That's it. I didn't think that she was that great. I didn't need more of Mallory. She wasn't bad. She wasn't good. She was just there. She was a resource, and resources eventually get tossed into a wall really hard.
I mean, for sure. And I'm not even in this episode, I'm not saying give me more of her. I'm just saying give me something different
How
than
how how would you have killed Newt or Mallory?
well, I just said.
Like a soldier's death?
No, I'm saying make her if she turned into Butcher and just like
Got you.
became an asshole and said like and just trapped him in there and was like, "Hey, we're trapping you in there. Sorry, but this is what it is." Because she hated Butcher all these years and then all of a sudden she becomes him because she's just had enough, then I would have loved that for her.
Got you. Yeah. Okay.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
that would have taken the same amount of screen time. It wouldn't have like, added anything or taken away anything. Just different writing, just better writing.
Okay. I think you may have persuaded me a
Yeah.
little bit.
Thank you. Because I do feel strongly about this, like especially with like female characters that were like strong and solid all this time, and for them to just go out like that, it's just like I don't know. I feel like it's a little bit insulting.
What else did
You know,
you What else
for
did you
for
have
a
on the
character
script?
to be strong the whole season and go out weak. You know what I mean?
I debate her strength. I thought she would, but I do see where you're coming from. I was I just never really was a big fan of her. Like that character, like there's uh in all these type of shows or movies, there's always like a Mallory type character. And I just I didn't like I didn't like her. I didn't like, she just maybe it's a personal thing. Maybe older women with that haircut just seem to rub me the wrong way. I don't know what it is, but just she just always seemed to be a little Like okay, so in Invincible they have the old guy that basically is the same role as her, and like I like him. I like other people in that role. I just didn't like the Mallory character like that. She was just there. I didn't think anything special of her. She was just there.
Well, I mean, I so the difference between her and like Cecil on Invincible is
There you
like
go. That's his name.
we don't know anything about his backstory. Like we see him doing his job. Also, he's like in the role, like he's in power. Whereas she, I think we know her backstory. Her backstory was that she was that powerful role, and then her grandkids get killed, and then it destroys her, and then like she drops out, but she can't quite completely like detach herself from the role because there's still a fight to be fought. She also hates Butcher, but like for the purpose of bringing down Vought, like she will partner up with him. I just feel like there was a lot more meat to the her character, and maybe the reason you don't like her is because they they gave us so much in the first couple of seasons with her, and then they just completely, like her character just completely like got tossed to the side. So it's
Yeah,
like,
like yeah, I think you might be right because she has been more or less irrelevant to the story uh for a while now. It feels like her part of the story has already been completed and she's just been hanging around.
yeah, yeah. But it didn't. I guess my point is it didn't have to be like that. Or if it was going to be like that, fine. But just give her a better send off. That's my only thing.
Well, I'm pouring one out for her and Newman tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
Pour a little out
Me
for him.
too. Me too. Man, I really don't want to believe Newman's dead. I just wasn't ready. I wasn't ready.
No, I need more Newman in my life.
Yeah.
I like Newman. See, I enjoy me some Vicky Newman.
Lord, give us back Newman and we'll give you A Train or Noir or Deep. Any of these fuckers.
You can have Frenchie. They could
Oh
have Frenchie.
yeah. Frenchie can go. Give us back Newman and we'll give you Frenchie.
Hell, I'm almost willing to say take Annie January and give me back Newman.
Oh, I still have a soft spot for Annie.
Why?
I again, I liked her the first couple seasons. I can't say I love her now. I think the actress is doing a really good job, but like yeah, I mean, I feel like the first couple of seasons really built up these female characters. Maeve, Annie, and then Victoria, was Victoria's second season? Yeah, I think she showed up second season. Like they just introduced such great female characters, and it was like I was like, I really like these characters. And I never liked I don't really go for like the whole girl boss um like thing. Like I never really liked Wonder Woman or any of these other female characters, so I was like, is it me? Like is there something wrong with me that I don't want to like support these female like superheroes? But then I watched this show and I'm like, no, it's not me. Like it's just they're just corny. And like the women on this show are dope, and that's why I like them so much. So I guess I'm still kind of hanging on to that from the first and second season.
Well, that makes sense. I can respect that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
also like Stormfront was such a good villain. I loved Maeve. Maeve was hilarious and such a badass. Um yeah. Even and Kimiko too. So,
Kimiko's the shit.
yeah. So I don't know. I feel like weirdly protective. I'm realizing this as we're talking again, but like I feel very protective of the female characters on the show.
One of my favorite parts of this episode was when they came back from the assassination attempt and Frenchie's all, look at me, I have a big venom, poison virus dart. And he goes, oh, you guys look like shit. What happened to you? And then Kimiko's sitting there smiling, waving.
Yeah. Yeah,
That
she's
was
cute.
hilarious. I was like, Kimiko's the shit. Hey, how's it going?
Um, okay, so we talked about Frenchie, Victoria, and Mallory. All right, so the other controversial thing, and I think everyone hates this, um, so Huey gets assaulted, and like Annie's mad at him.
I think she's over it by the end of the episode.
She is, but like, why did we need that? I think
I
everyone's pissed
mean,
about that.
I get it. I get both sides of it, but I can see like, why she'd be a little pissed at first, but then, then you cool down for a little bit, rational mind set in, and you go, you know what, it's okay. But he does need to get tested for fucking syphilis or something. He definitely needs to get tested.
But
Um,
he also needs like serious therapy because he just had all this sex with this person that who he didn't know who she was. Like he thought he did, but it wasn't her. So, I mean, that's not consensual. So, that's going to mess a person up.
yeah, rub some dirt on it. He'll be okay. Tell him walk it off. Walk
I
it
don't know.
off, champ.
I think the general consensus from fans is like he just went through way too much this season, and
He did.
um like just the way they kind of like wrote it off at the end of the season is like, yes, she's over it, she'll sleep with me again. Like it was just, it was too much.
Huey Huey had a rough few months here.
Yeah.
Huey had a very, like, if anybody should be spiraling it's definitely Huey.
Yeah.
He lost his dad twice. Like came
Mhm.
to grips with his father dying, and then he comes back with the V, and then he has to kill him himself. He has to kill his own dad.
Mhm.
He has to kill another guy in a fight with the Rising Star.
Mhm.
He's had,
And then
then the whole thing with this shifter and the
yeah.
and the whole thing with Web Weaver and going to Tech Knight's
Yeah.
crib.
Yeah, dude. All of that.
I mean, he even said, "I'm not okay." And yeah, so Huey had a hellacious, however many months it was for this season of his life. Yeah, he had a pretty fucking rough stretch. I think we can all agree on that. But I
But
can
also
also
like
I can understand the irrational rage of somebody who's been held captive for 10 days and then finds out that their boyfriend was fucking somebody pretending to be them. Yeah, you're gonna be a little upset at that at first. And then you'll be like, yo, you know what? He didn't know. There's no way he would have known. And he said all that smooth shit, like she found the keys on the first time. It takes you 15 minutes to find them, and she was wearing his dress, and you would never wear it. Like he noticed some stuff that gave it away, uh, and he figured it out. I mean, the fact that he figured it out in 10 days when you got an identical fucking person in here, and they have your memory, so they're saying real things to you. Like you got to cut. She had to cut up some slack there, but I understand her being upset at first. I forgave her because at first I felt the same, but at the end of the episode, when she's walking down the stairs and tells me to get tested and the smile and all that, all is well. I then released the disappointment with the way that she treated him at first.
but like all wasn't well. Like she's over it, but like he's still had all this crap happen to him. And like he's just supposed to be over it. That I guess that's my criticism of the writing.
Well, they
Like,
could
no.
they didn't have any screen time because they were showing us fucking Frenchie doing stuff to himself. Like there was no
Right.
time to show us that part. But I guess it's left for us to then fill in the gaps that they're having these conversations when they're driving off in the car and stuff. But there's a lot of things going on right now for you to think that she's gonna sit there and be like, "Hey, I know you've been through a lot," and like there's no time for that or to show that conversation when all this other stuff is going on that they have to dedicate time to. So, like, I think that take is kind of being harsh on Starlight or Annie for no reason. There's, there's a lot happening in
I
real
know
time.
there, but if there's a lot happening, why do we have to show like Annie lashing out at Huey? Like we all know it's not his fault. Like maybe just one line about like, hey, that sucks, something to like convey how she's feeling. But why did we like when there's so much stuff going on? Why did we need that scene?
Got to show something, and that's probably not a great answer or reason to do it, but you had to show something.
No, you didn't. He didn't know. And yeah, okay, she's mad at him, but like we all know he didn't know. It was a mistake. So I don't I don't think they needed that scene. Some sort of reconciliation like, "Hey, I'm so glad you're out. I had no idea." Something like that. But like we didn't need I don't know. We didn't need that whole fight scene. That was so dumb.
I think you guys are being a little harsh on this one.
Everybody, but everyone feels that way.
Now, everybody is a little light skinned and in their feelings right now. Like
Racist.
let's calm it down a little bit. I mean, in this instance, I think we should pump the brakes on passing judgment on her for that.
No,
Let's
nobody's passing judgment on her. It's the writing. It's
got you, got you.
what are we dedicating screen time to right now?
Frenchie
Right, right,
and Mallory being hysterical
right.
and not so much that. I think that, you know, that was probably an oversight on their behalf that people would feel that way about that because they probably were just like, yeah, cool, we'll just go with this so we can advance these other things. I mean, we don't know what ended up on the cutting room floor. There might have been a
Right.
whole scene like that. Like I just found out today there was 12 minutes in Avengers Endgame that got cut out. Like in the battle scene where there was this whole conversation with all the characters gathered in one spot at one time, and they cut it out the movie because they thought it slowed down the pace of the movie. Uh, and this could be
Right.
one of those things. There could have been something there, but it just didn't fit the pacing, so they had to cut it out.
It's just, yeah, maybe the editors aren't on the same page as the writers, because it's like the writers are trying to put out this like progressive feminist show, but then we're blaming a man for getting like R worded, like for getting assaulted, like um yeah, there's just something incongruous going on with the team that's creating the show.
With that being said, they still did a very good job this season. Hey, kudos to you guys.
Okay, so we talked about that scene. Any other thoughts on Huey and Starlight?
um, yeah, actually, because they go through all that and they leave together. At the end of the episode, we see, the boys splitting up, and when not only did Starlight, in the car, you see she's getting her powers back, but now she can like freaking fly at the speed of light.
Mm-hmm.
Huey's gone. They're in a boat falls from the sky. They crash into it. In the wreckage, Huey gets snatched out the car, taken away. Ah, man, like what is gonna like? Yeah, yeah, I do have I have thoughts on what's happening next with them. What's happening next with Kimiko, who finally spoke,
Mm-hmm.
and we talked about Frenchie being walked off with Kate. Where are so they're going to the internment camps, the ones that the Homelander and Tech Knight were talking about. That's where Huey and Frenchie are going, and MM, who got beat down by
Presumably.
the big dick again.
Presumably,
Um,
yeah.
the, and the soups are left to go. Um, dude, that's I thought that was a dope way to end. I thought that was
Oh, sure.
minus the post credit scene, but that's the setup. That's the world. This is the new world order. This is the brave new world, whatever you want to call it. That we're going into the new age of soups, and they are locking up regular people, starting with the boys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very fascinating. Like, yeah, that the whole ending right there, especially with Kimiko and Frenchie and with Starlight and Huey, because it almost felt like that it's not gonna go well. Like we knew that you're not just gonna leave this situation and go living on the run in Brazil for the rest of your life. Like before it to go down like this, and like, yeah, I need season 5 to come on already, or I need Gen V season 2 to come on already, uh, because that's interesting. What is Annie gonna do? Is she gonna link back up
Right.
with Kimiko? Like what do you do now? What's the next move? What is the next move?
It'll be fascinating to see what kind of powers she's unlocked now. That she's like, it seems like she's full force, fully like immersed in herself and her powers. So it'll be cool to see
You
what
know,
she's able to do.
the problem with Annie getting her powers back is we never understood why she lost her powers, and then what had to happen to bring them back. Like that part wasn't explained to us. Like in Spider-Man 3, we understood why Peter Parker was losing his powers. He was being a little goth bitch, and he had to go. Like there was at least an explanation, and this happens with damn near every superhero where they have to deal with their powers, but at least we understand what it is they're going through. Like we understand that they lost their powers, why they lost them, and the journey they're going on to recapture and control their powers. They left that entire story out of the season. Annie loses her powers, and we don't know why. She regains her powers and she's stronger than she was before, and we don't know why.
I mean, I think I kind of understood because, and I think this was also a criticism that I had of Annie in the earlier seasons, but she was just kind of like above it all and like a little self-righteous, relatable, but like a little bit just kind of like I'm above this and I'm better than everyone. There was a little bit of that in her. Um, so this
So she
season
lost
was
her powers because she's Sadiddy?
No, she lost her powers because she starts questioning herself because she sees Firecracker. Firecracker reminds her that she's a bitch, and and I mean a bitch, but she did some horrible things to Firecracker, and then the what's it called? The shapeshifter gets in her head and reminds her that she's a bitch, and I think it was just kind of an ego death for her this season where she's like, oh wait, I'm not actually that great a person. And then I think at the end, it's her kind of when she kills the other version of herself, that's her coming to terms with the fact that, like, no, I'm not the best person in the world. I'm not perfect, but like, I'm not a victim. But like, here's what I'm going to fucking do.
But I'm the
And
bitch kicking your ass.
yeah, but I'm the bitch kicking your ass. So I think that was basically her story arc this season. It's fine. It's fine. I didn't hate it.
I needed that. And it's just as we were talking about it, I realized it's like I don't like I needed that part of the story.
Yeah.
Like that there needed to be dialogue about it. That it felt like she went through it internally and we had to put together the pieces of it. Um, and everybody knew she was struggling with her powers, but nobody would. It was like everybody knew and they were laughing at her. The other soups, like, you don't even have your powers. Newman did
Right.
it to her. Firecracker did it to her. The Shifter did it to her. You don't even have your powers. So they all knew. It's like, so what do y'all know that she doesn't know?
Right.
That part was lacking for me. So when she took off with the new powers and she flew away like crazy, it's like, that's dope. I can't wait to see what happens. But also, maybe you can explain to me why that happened.
Right. Right. I think it was just self-doubt. And um damn, I was going to say something else. I think it was also just like allegory for like activists on the left, and it's like they have all these ideals, like especially like that whole cancel culture era that we went through, um where it's like, you've got all these activists coming out and like they're playing like they're so perfect, but then it's like if you have this reputation where you're so perfect, um, and then like someone calls you out on some bullshit that you did in the past, then it's like, well, your whole reputation is destroyed. So I think she was kind of like an allegory for like those figures.
Well, then, in this instance, they could have been a little, they could have stated that a little bit more clearly.
Yeah. Yeah, or just not done it at all. It wasn't necessary. I mean, I
Right.
just feel like they really tried to do a lot of like character development and symbolism this season, and I just feel like they got a little too artsy with it.
Yeah. Um, but as far as Huey and Annie go and Kimiko and Frenchie, uh, I think we've covered them pretty good. I don't have anything else to add on them because I think we hit all the bases on those characters.
Yeah. Now for the fun part, Butcher. I We lost Butcher this season. R.I.P. Butcher, because
All right, Pete.
he just completely succumbed to the tumor. So I think next season is just the tumor.
Yeah, when he said goodbye to Huey on the phone, he was saying that was his goodbye.
Yeah, he died.
Even though it technically didn't happen until after Mallory was killed. Uh, Still, yeah, Butcher is gone. The tumor rules.
Yeah. Which is actually kind of awesome because I was getting tired of like conscious Butcher. Like, Butcher with a Conscience. That was like too much last season. Like watching him have all these memories of his brother and all his family trauma, and no, I didn't need any of that. And I'm glad he's gone. R.I.P.
Yeah.
But good riddance. I didn't need human Butcher. I needed asshole Butcher, and that's what we're getting next season. And I kind of love it.
All right. Yeah. No, from that perspective, I fuck with that. Yeah, all day.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, like Butcher in season one and season two, that's prime Butcher.
yeah.
Season three and the majority of season four, uh, not prime Butcher.
No.
It's Jordan with the Wizards. Still good, but not that dude. Uh, if the tumor is in control and the tumor is going to be going straight back to like F the world,
Hmm.
I'm interested. I'm interested because that now makes Butcher that character a villain,
Hmm.
and he is a straight up villain.
Yep. Yep.
But he's not a villain because like on the other end of the spectrum, Homelander is over here uprising all of the soups, and so that immediately makes Billy his enemy. You know, the opposite of that. Uh, so if you're going against the evil empire of Homelander, then are you the villain? In this instance, yeah, he is. They're both fucking villains, I guess. I don't know. Um, but that makes it very interesting because now you have two parties. You've got the a tumor-led anti-soup regime and a pro-soup regime, and then people who are like, wait, we just want to go to work and get some Starbucks.
Well, but even the anti-soup regime, like the tumor is a soup in itself.
Right.
So, um, people on Reddit are speculating, and I kind of feel like this is too predictable, but they're speculating it's going to go down that Game of Thrones path where Homelander gets killed like a couple of episodes before the finale, and then like Butcher ends up being the final villain.
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
which
That's
is
giving a
what,
lot of credit to that tumor.
yeah, but I mean, it could happen. Like that's not off the table, right? Because um, and they think like Huey will be the one to take down Butcher. It would be more compelling if Game of Thrones didn't already do it. um, but I mean, I could see it happening.
How does Soldier Boy fit into this whole thing? I know I'm jumping all over the place, but in that scenario, how does Soldier Boy fit into all of this?
In that scenario, Soldier Boy, I think, would be a bit part. He would be a cameo.
Oh,
He,
really?
yeah, but I don't know. Maybe he, let's
Because
say worst case scenario they do the Game of Thrones route. Let's just put that as worst case scenario and then and get off it.
I think, well, I mean, just hypothesizing now. Soldier Boy has that blast that
Hmm.
takes away the powers of suits, right?
Hmm.
What if there was a way to amplify that blast so that it could be transmitted over a large distance and take away the powers of lots of soups without destroying, cities and blocks and, life. Maybe
Um,
that is the story of this last season is trying to weaponize Soldier Boy to eliminate all the parties.
but he has to like, I mean, they have to convince him to do it, right?
Well, telling him he'll be the last soup on Earth is good enough, right?
So
That's
okay,
that's
so
an
you're
easy
saying
job.
Homelander just wants to wipe out all of the people and only like the strongest soups survive?
No, I'm saying that use
Oh, the
uh,
boys do.
the boys use Soldier Boy to eliminate. all the soups. Like
But how?
but they don't die. They
Oh,
don't die. Like with the virus, they die. But with Soldier Boy, as you saw with Maeve, she's still alive and living.
yeah.
She's just not
She just lost
superpowered
her
anymore.
powers. Yeah.
If they can weaponize that power from Soldier Boy and magnify it so they can, it can go across larger distances and just take away the powers of these soups, that might be like total end game right there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's possible. I mean, they'd have to round the soups up and like keep them all in one place because if that blast hits humans, then the humans will die. Um, so, but yeah,
So,
it's possible.
well, and that's why they find a device where they can then just transmit that thing as opposed to just, hey, blow a hole in the earth and get rid of all these superpowers. You build a machine, that's where Frenchie comes in,
Mm,
and that can be used to magnify whatever the signal is in him that triggers that. And then it transmits over a long distance. And then that way it's just he blows, that signal goes out, and then all the soups are no longer soups. They're just people now.
man, I would love to see Homelander lose his powers. I would just love to see his face the minute he realizes he's just a normal person after all that. I would
He'd
love
kill
that.
himself. He would jump out of a window and kill himself.
Yeah, he totally would. I can picture him doing it.
And knowing Homelander, he would probably do it thinking this isn't true, and he tries to fly and just falls.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Oh,
it's like gruesome for over the top gruesomeness on his death.
yeah. Oh,
Like
that
he
would be
impales
amazing.
himself on something, on the ground.
Also, we've never seen him like really work out or like work on his strength or anything. So imagine he just like loses his powers and just becomes like some out of shape loser.
His metabolism is immediately shut off, and
Yeah.
he's just John at Home Depot.
Yeah. I would love it. Oh my
Can you
god.
imagine him like fucking having a normal everyday job, knowing that I was Homelander once and having
No,
to
there's
like
no way. There's
load
no way.
cars? He would kill
No.
himself. He would not
Yeah.
live.
Yeah. Cuz he built his whole life around this identity. He's got no family. I mean, his son walked out on him. He's got nothing. So, yeah. um oh, that would be incredible. I'm actually like I'm just now that you're like describing it, I'm picturing him like jumping off a building expecting to fly and just like watching the horror as he falls to his death.
Yes. Yes. Oh, and it's like a tight shot. And you just watch his face change as he
Yeah.
realizes what's happening.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be so awesome.
It would be so awesome. Oh, I'd love that.
All right, so that's what we need. We need them to weaponize Soldier Boy so we can watch Homelander jump off of a roof and die.
I promise you that's so much better than whatever bullshit they're gonna come up with. I love this show. I love the writers. I love the creators. But like, uh, dude, just hire a fan. I feel that's
No,
how I felt with
let me get in there. Let me get in the studio. Let me get in there in that writing room for a little bit.
for real. They should hire you. I mean, I kind of feel like that with Game of Thrones. Like, I'm still salty about that last season, and I'm like, dude, the fan theories were so much better than what you guys actually came up with. Just hire fans. Just go on Reddit, DM a few of the posts that like the people that write the posts, DM a few of them, and just make it happen. It'll be so much better. They already wrote it out. They already put it on Reddit. So just
You can buy it.
contact them. Yeah.
You can buy it, alter it a little bit, so that way you can have some surprises in there still. But I mean, the legwork's been done.
Or you don't even have to buy it. Just fucking take it and do it. Like the fans will be happy. They're not going to care.
Oh, the fan that wrote it will care.
Well, they'll just be happy to see it like written out, played out.
No, they'll be happy when there's some zeros in their bank account. Trust me.
That's
Everybody else will be happy, but the person that wrote it is going to come for their money.
okay. Well, plagiarize it, but don't don't make it too obvious.
Oh, okay, like I did in college.
Right.
Yeah. Sister Sage.
We should try to write like the series finale on ChatGPT. And just like ask ChatGPT how they would end it. I would be curious. Maybe I'll try that.
We should do that and see if it's better than what we can come up with.
Right. Yeah.
Like us versus ChatGPT. We would win. We would definitely win.
I feel like we're losing steam here.
Sister Sage. According to her plan worked.
Yeah, I guess.
I told you from the rip, like she's still in control. I believe she's still in control. And her one scene in this episode was all she needed. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. If you're only gonna give somebody a little bit of screen time, you do it like you did with Sister Sage. She made the best of that fucking 2 minutes.
Yeah, I guess my only thing is like let's see her get a little bit more hands-on with the plans as opposed to just like showing up time to time and saying, "Oh, well, that all went to plan."
But you want her like lurking in the shadows watching?
No, I want to see her like doing something, like giving someone some information and then watching them go, as opposed to just kind of.
But you did see that. You saw it twice. You saw it twice. You saw it in episode 2 when we saw her talking to the guy that made copies of himself, and then that lured the boys into that conference room where then, she walked off, and then the boys had to fight, and Butcher had to save them. We saw it with her talking to the shifter. Then A-Train watched that, and then the boys went there and they got fucked up. So
it's a good setup. It's a good setup. Let's just see them follow through.
She is hands-on. She is in there.
It's a good set. No, I agree with you. She is hands-on. Her character is intended to be hands-on. But again, let's see the follow-through. Don't just set her up to be like this like genius and then because like after she got shot in the head, we didn't really get anything from her. And then she got fired, and then she comes back at the end and says, "This is all going to my plan." But it's like besides those 2 scenes, we don't actually see her getting involved in her plans. And also, I don't understand what that notebook was with Maeve on the cover. Yeah. Look, to what you're saying, she's a great character. Building up her character, I think they could have done a little better job, but I agree with you. She's a great character. Her one scene in this final episode was very satisfying.
What do you see from her going forward? Do you want to see her playing a bigger part, or are you done with Sister Sage?
I want to see more of her.
I feel like the scene we got from her in this episode showed a different side of her.
Mm-hmm.
Like a more self-confident side of her. Like she's starting to feel herself a little bit. Like she said, she did it because she wanted to see if she could. And now that she knows that she can, what is she going to do now?
Yeah, you could see it going straight to her veins. That's a great actress. You could just see it. You can see her eyes light. You can see her pupils dilating.
She called him blonde ambition. Like, come on.
Yeah.
She was
that was awesome.
And listen, she's like,
great character, great actress. Let's just see a little bit more of her next season.
Yeah, I can use more Sage. I can use more Sage. I can use less lobotomy, more Sage.
And like for her to come in this late into the series and have that big an impact, that's really saying something.
Yeah, without taking medicine to get breast milk.
Right. I mean, Firecracker hasn't had the impact that Sage has had. She's just like another pawn. She doesn't really, other than that, she doesn't, bring anything to it. But yeah, Sage is a game changer.
Which is what she was never intended to do anything more than what she's done. That's why Sage picked her to antagonize
Hmm.
Annie, and she knew that she would do anything for Homelander, including take medication to get breast milk. You know,
She
like
probably, yeah, she probably set her up with her doctor or something.
because she mentioned it to her.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah,
like
she did, huh? She
yeah,
did.
way back when she mentioned it.
She did. That's crazy.
So that's what I'm saying. Like she was setting all this stuff up from the rip.
Yeah.
So like what she does next, the role that Sage has to play in the next season is massive. Like she has to be a big part, but it's like where does she fit in with the whole I don't that's the part where it's great for me with Sister Sage going forward is we have this whole Homelanders in power thing, which she put in place. She set all that shit up for it to happen. Homelanders in power, he's enacting this plan he has. Butcher's on the other end trying to get rid of all the soups. Where does Sage fit into that? Like that's the part that now that she's completed stage one, I've heard the hypothesis that stage one was taken over locally, nationally, and stage two is going global.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's the case, if she's thinking that big, or that's she's the biggest like going into season five. She's amongst my top question marks of like I want to see what we do with this story. Where does she fit in?
Yeah. I mean, when you put it like that, she won this season because the boys took huge losses this season and Homelander won even though he fucked up everything. So basically she won. She beat
Yeah,
them.
she
So
beat everybody.
she's kind of the one, yeah, she's the one to beat next season. And she's like earned Homelander's favor because at the end he was so grateful to her and so confused as to why she would do this for him. Um so I think he's a little bit like he has a newfound respect for her. He's
Mhm.
not gonna fuck with her next season.
I
Um
Yeah, I agree. She's the winner of season four,
she is.
100%.
That's wild.
And it was so low key how she did it, right? And
Hmm.
so it's like now that she knows she's like now she's coming into her power. Now she's gonna start flexing, and that
Yeah.
is probably where where we will see her make mistakes. Because even super villains, the smartest of them all, make mistakes, and they have to in order for them to become the better versions of themselves. I think she made some mistakes this season, but she recalibrated and was able to capitalize very quickly on whatever mistakes were garnered throughout uh, you know, phase one of her
Hmm.
project. I think that there has to be mistakes. There's going to be a mistake. And when the stakes are as high as the stakes are that she's playing at, the losses are just as large.
Hmm.
So I'm very interested in what happens with Sage, and when she makes that mistake, how or if she's able to come back from it. That's a story arc that I'm kind of interested in looking forward to seeing.
Or will the one mistake she ever makes in her life, like the one big mistake she ever makes in her life, be her downfall?
Exactly. Exactly. Because the stakes are that high. Either she's gonna win big, she'll become Lex Luthor or the Joker or something like that, that level of supervillain, or she's a woulda, coulda, shoulda.
And it's like, look, you can tell she hates society. She tells that story about her grandmother and like how cynical it's made her. But like, i- is that cynicism enough to keep her supporting her Homelander, or will there be a point where it becomes too much and she starts to turn it on him?
I don't think she's supporting Homelander. I think Homelander is a tool that she uses to get what she wants. I don't think she's been playing Homelander's game this entire season. She understood he was a liability, but was able to work within the parameters of that.
But regardless of how she actually feels about him, she at the end of the day she orchestrates his ascent to power. So I guess my point is, I mean, we know she doesn't like him. They're not friends, She doesn't believe in anything she's doing. She just, this is just fun for her. But like at one point, will supporting him stop being fun for her?
Hmm. No, that's a good question.
Yeah.
That is that is interesting. Yes, will we see that? Will we get to that point? Because I think that there's not another smarter. She's the smartest person in the world.
Hmm.
So you're not going to outsmart her, but there are things like luck and chance that do exist, and things happen that will throw a plan off. And uh, it's just getting shot in the head again. We saw how that ruined her for a minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless she
Or
can
will
come
she
out
just
with like,
get bored? Will she just like be like, nah, this is just not for me anymore. This is too easy. Or like, if she just like loses interest in it, what if she just loses interest and walks away?
nah, I think the power is gonna consume her. I can see her, rocking like a Magneto style helmet or something, so that she
Mm,
never has, so that nothing, her brain is protected, right?
it's
I can see
possible.
her just like rocking a helmet, and she very easily can be Batman or Tony Stark. She can create a suit or whatever to protect herself
It's
very
true.
easily.
Yeah, I mean, drawing parallels to Invincible, like there's that genius robot guy on that show.
Hmm.
Um, and he also, I think, ends up being kind of a like he also like I think his intelligence is also his downfall, and he also becomes a little controlling and power hungry as well.
Right.
So, yeah, it's possible she goes in that direction.
I think that's the ultimate end game for her is that the power consumes her.
Hmm.
Because now she's playing on a bigger scale than she's ever played on before, and she's actually won on this level.
Right.
She's going to be a very interesting character to watch come next season. Like and I'm hoping that we get some of her in the boys as well.
In Gen B.
Or yeah, I'm sorry, in Gen V. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be a big part, but I would love to see a little bit of her plan come to light. Because I mean, Gen V is going to happen between season 4 and 5, so that'll kind of tell us the state of the world going into season 5, which I think is a great opportunity to enact some of what Sage is working on.
Hmm.
Maybe not directly, but indirectly, we can see, the results of her work by the way that the world is being molded.
Yeah, for sure. Um, okay, any final thoughts?
I enjoyed season 4 of The Boys. I thought that this finale was good. I thought it was a good finale. Um, I think I said last week that the boys do finales really well. So,
Yeah.
the finale would be so good that you go, this was a good season. And you're like, really? Because I slept through 6 episodes.
Right.
Uh, but the finale's so good, you're like, man, you know what? Yeah, it's pretty good. Uh,
Yeah,
they did a good
it's
job. They tied everything together. They crammed a lot into this episode. Felt like they didn't spend as much time as they could have on certain story beats. Uh, but besides these gripes we had now, and this was just nitpicking, I think some of our gripes, at least on my behalf, I was nitpicking on some of it. I thought it was great. I can't, they have me excited to see where we're going from here. Like, I'm very excited to see, what evolves next in this world. Couldn't be happier, uh, with the state of the boys right now.
for
I
sure.
could be, but that would be a little unrealistic, is what I'm saying. I'm very happy with where we're at, though.
Agreed. Yeah. I look, I complained a lot, but that's just my nature. I like to complain. But this was a hell of a season finale. It was a lot. Some of it I wasn't emotionally ready for, so I'm still processing it. But it is making me look forward to the last season.
Absolutely. SK, it was a pleasure and a lot of fun. covering these episodes of The Boys this season with you. Uh, and I can't wait to do more of this because, yeah, this was a lot of fun.
Yeah, this is great. It was, yeah, and we'll definitely be coming up with more content.
Yeah, who knows? We might be reviewing other stuff like, the Winchester Dog Show. You never know what we could be doing. We're
The
learning a lot of
Winchester
things.
Dog Show. Yep, yep. Get ready for that. Lots of poodles and Shih Tzus and commentary on that. All right, let me sign off.